Welcome to the second session of the Foundation Stone Meditation by Rudolf Steiner on Got a Form for That. Today, we will focus on the second part of what is sometimes referred to as the first panel of the meditation. As I mentioned last time, my expertise is in finding forms. I will bring you the 8 forms given to me for this meditation. This will be the second one. Last time we had this form, and I brought it to you in a blue, and I'll talk about the color now soon. For a further reference, I suggest Friedrich Wilhelm Zellmann's von Eimekoven's book, The Foundation Stone. It looks like this. Has this lovely dodecahedron on the front, which is the shape of the foundation stone. Actually, it was supposed to be like 2 levels. Anyway, this has a lot of great explanations, and so I invite you to look at that. I am not going to go into, in depth into the meaning of the foundation stone meditation. It's meant to be a meditation, and it's meant for the reader to tackle that, to engage oneself and read the meditation. The meaning, I think, is fairly clear as long as you read through it a few times. No matter what translation you have, if it's a good translation, but there are many translations. I suggest that you find a translation that you enjoy reading. That is what I have done. And today I'm just going to do what I did last time, which is read it in English, this second part of the first panel. And then I will read it again in German. I will try to read it in German. And then I will show you the new form, which has a rectangular shape like this. And then I will go through the verse again in German and English. So this first panel, in a general way, talks about the human being, the soul, entering the limb system, and what that entails, and the sort of origin of the human being. Then in the second panel, the rhythmic system is addressed, and the feeling life, and the third panel, the thinking, and the nerve sense system more. And then finally, we have the Christ as the turning point of time is addressed in that last panel. So our first panel last time was talking about that the soul entering the limb system. Human soul, you live within the limbs which bear you through the world of space into the spirit's ocean being. Practice spirit recalling in depths of soul wherein the wielding world creator being, your own I, comes into being in the eye of God. And I believe that is what really this form is showing, this sort of initial chaotic state that things were in when the human being was created. God was wielding his power, her power, and the human eye comes into being out of the eye of God. And if we can recall that, if we practice spirit recalling, then we can have a feeling or a sense of that. So this second part of the first panel, the main idea here is out of the Godhead we are born. We have to remember that we are coming out of the Godhead. And the second form is very different from this first one. The second form that I will draw for you very shortly is very balanced, very symmetrical, It's in a way, I guess, showing how the Godhead has sort of taken hold of this spiritual substance and is creating. So I think you'll see that when I draw the form. It's very different. All right, so this is our second panel, or second part of the first panel. And the second part of the meditation is this: for the Father Spirit of the heights holds sway in depths of worlds, begetting life. Spirits of strength, let ring forth from the heights what in the depths is echoed. Out of the Godhead we are born. The spirits hear it in east, west, north, and south. May human beings hear it. And now I will read the German. I will attempt to read the German. Denn es waltet der Vatergeist der Hören in den Weltentiefen sein erzeugend. Ihr Kräfte, Geister, lasset aus den Hören erklingen, was in den Tiefen das Echo findet. Dieses spricht, aus dem Göttlichen weset die Menschheit. Das hören die Geister in Ost, West, Nord, Süd. Menschen mögen es hören. All right. So on a piece of printer paper, portrait, draw a rectangle, and you can just draw in just inside the printer paper's margins, or the edges of the printer paper, and give it like an inch margin, and then you will have a golden rectangle, and that's the shape that we want. All right, so we have this rectangle, and now we are going to need to put a triangle with the base of the triangle at the top. So I just drew these 3 dots here, here, and here. It should be an equilateral triangle, but it doesn't have to be exact. So don't be too demanding of yourself. Just, try to do the best you can and make this triangle, pointing down and as equilateral as you can, and then, do the dots, and then connect the dots. Okay. And then we're going to make a dot up a ways. I would say about a third of the way. Let's see, that's about halfway. So just a little bit below that. It's not really a third, it's a little bit more than that. And now we're going to draw from this dot, this will be the tip, a teardrop all the way down to here, but not touching the bottom of the rectangle. And when we bring the teardrop out, we want to have it, each of these lengths be about the same, and cross the triangle in a symmetrical way. Then we take a look at our teardrop. And notice that this side is not indented. That is actually the way it's supposed to be, this particular teardrop. We've drawn teardrops before in this course, not for the foundation stone, but for other things. And sometimes I've told you to make the teardrop indented, but that is not the kind of teardrop that we have going on here. So no indentations right there. It's just very straight out. Okay. All right. Now we just have 3 circles to do. We're going to do the first outer circle. I'm going to call them outer circles. They're circles that encompass this whole center part. And then there's a tiny circle that fits right in here. Okay, so we want, if you want to use a compass, you can do this too with a compass. I'm just going to sort of guesstimate. Oh, I should have my center though. The center of the circle is like right at the center of this line. Okay, how does that look? It's acceptable. Okay. So that is our outermost circle. And then we have one that comes in just a little, say about right there. You can give yourself some guidelines here, guide curves. And then okay, how is that? Well, this comes down sort of low a little bit. I mean, it's not that bad, but how's that? Okay, better. And now we just have one little circle to do right in the center, and it, it fills up the space as much as you can make it fill up the space, but it's still quite small. There we go. And that is the form. And so just notice how different these 2 forms are. So it's like out of chaos comes this symmetrical order. All right. Once you have the form drawn, then in graphite, then we can trace it in blue pencil. It should be a pale blue, not too pale. The Lyra number 10 is the best, really. If you have a different blue that doesn't have green in it, then that will be acceptable. I don't really have the right chalk for this, but I have pencils, but this is on a chalkboard, so. All right, so our first line to trace, we're going to just put the color on and then we can trace the form, is the rectangle, and then this is traced. The next one is the triangle, as we did second, and then the third is the third shape to trace or line to trace is this teardrop. And then we do these circles and we go from the largest to the smallest. So here's 4, and they are all clockwise. So the rectangle first, then the triangle, then the teardrop, then the outer circle, the middle circle, and the inner circle. So here we go. The teardrop. And the outer circle. And remember, when we are tracing, to make the line a continuous line. And that would be one tracing. And to trace it again, we would go through that whole process. So here we have the Foundation Stone Meditation, Panel 1. This is part 1, and here is part 2. Part 2 of Panel 1. Notice that I put different colors on the first one we did. When we work with these forms, it will be best to trace them in blue for maybe 2 weeks. And then we redraw the form, and we can select colors that we like, and we put those on. The difference between using blue and multiple colors is that when we use this blue that is not like my chalk, but that has no green in it, this will be very restorative to that inmost being. It really appeals to that inmost point in ourselves. When we do a form in multiple colors, this actually strengthens the personality, the true personality, or the individuality of the person. So it does something different for us, but also good. Both things are healing and helpful. All right. So I will attempt again to read the German, and then I will read the English. Denn es waltet der Vatergeist der Hören in den Weltentiefen sein erzeugend. Ihr Kräfte Geister, lasset aus den Hören erklingen, was in den Tiefen das Echo findet. Dieses spricht. Aus dem Göttlichen weset die Menschenheit. Das hören die Geister in Ost, West, Nord, Süd. Menschen mögen es hören. And in English. For the Father Spirit of the heights holds sway in depths of worlds begetting life. Spirits of strength, let ring forth from the heights what in the depths is echoed. Out of the Godhead we are born. The spirits hear it in east, west, north, south. May human beings hear it. So thank you for joining us today in Got a Form for that, for the Foundation Stone Meditation. In our next session, we will do part 1 of the second panel, in which the rhythmic system of the human being is addressed and the feeling life.